Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is the February 2023 Mac Voices update. It seems like we just did the January update a couple of days ago, and here we are at the end of February already. Time flies when you're having fun. Several things to talk about this month. First is the CES interviews. By now, hopefully you've had a chance to catch up and get through all of them, or the ones that you were really interested in. I would appreciate it if you had any favorites or anything that you thought was especially good. If you'd drop me an email, chuck@macvoices.com, or hit me up on any of my social media presences, and let me know which ones you like the best. That will help inform my coverage for future events and focus on future things. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed them all. It was a whole lot of fun doing them. A lot of work, but a whole lot of fun as well. Second is the fact that with all those videos, there were some Mac Voices Live sessions that ended up being a bit delayed when it came to putting them into the Mac Voices feed. Now, of course, if you were watching live, then you got to see them pretty much on time. But as you probably know, I take each Mac Voices Live show, cut it up into two or three pieces, and release it to the feed. Because of that, sometimes we have to play catch up. And so that ends up meaning I basically have three choices. One is I could just skip releasing a show, one of the live shows, which is just not a good idea in any way, shape, or form. Second is I can cut it up into two pieces as opposed to the usual three. And the reason we do three is to try to keep it within the general time limits of what has now become an average Mac Voices session. If you cut it into three, it fits pretty well. Cut it into two, and it can stretch out and get a little bit longer in size and in length of time. If you cut it down and just release it as one big show, and that's been done before, sometimes for some very good reasons, it means that you have to slog through all of that. And while I think that most of our sessions are very, very interesting top to bottom, it also means that means you have to dedicate a full hour and a half for one show on one day. And from what I've heard from so many of you, you really like the 20 to 30 minute shows much, much better. So that's sort of our target time. So if you have thoughts on that, I'd love to have you let me know. Otherwise, we will just continue to play a little catch up and try to make things as acceptable to you and deliver the things the way that you want them to and not lose any of that great content. Speaking of Mac Voices Live, if you're watching this on a really timely basis, like the day I'm releasing it, that means it is February 28th, and we're going to do something a little bit different on Mac Voices Live tonight. We're going to have an open mic night for our Patreon supporters. We've invited the Patreon supporters to join the cast of regulars or irregulars, depending on your point of view, to join us on Mac Voices Live to discuss whatever topics come up or whatever we will put on the schedule. So if you are a Patreon supporter, you should have received the information in Slack that how you will be able to join, or I will be posting that shortly, again, depending on when you're listening to this. If you're a Patreon supporter who has not signed up for the Mac Voices Slack and you would like to take advantage of this now or next time, drop me an email, let me know, because you should have received a notification when you signed up for Patreon. So if you have not taken advantage of that, let me know. We'll try to get you on. Or if not, definitely sign up and get on the Slack so you'll get the information for the next time we try this, assuming that things really don't blow up tonight. Finally, if you are not a Patreon supporter, then now's a perfect time. Check us out at patreon.com/MacVoices. Last thing this time around is I want to highlight MacVoices Magazine again. It feels like in the last couple months, something has changed on a lot of the Mac web and the tech web, and things have shifted a little bit more away from news and a little bit more to tips and tricks and how-tos, which is really a good thing. I try to take as many of those links as I can find that I think are worthy of your attention, flip them into MacVoices Magazine so that you can, as we say, do more with your Apple tech. Sometimes those tips are and tricks and how-tos are fairly sophisticated. Sometimes they're just a little one-trick pony that may serve as a reminder to you that something can be done with your iPhone, your iPad, or your Mac, or your Apple Watch, or your AirPods, or your Apple TV, or whatever. HomePod, forgot HomePod. So check out MacVoices Magazine. It's free on Flipboard. It's free on the web. Both links are at MacVoices.com/magazine. Got that right. MacVoices.com/magazine. Definitely check that out. Last thing for the month is the support report, which is exactly as you would expect. So this month at Platinum, we had no one, but at Gold, we had David G., Robert G., Webb B., and Frank P. At Silver, we had Baz, Craig A., Eric B., Eric C., Bruce E., Tim G., Cletus H., Chuck P., George R., and Daniel S. And at Bronze, we had Max C., Tom C., Brian F., Craig H., Clinton M., John M., and Prop P. As always, I want to express my deep appreciation and gratitude for all of our Patreon supporters, past, present, and hopefully future. They are the ones that help keep the lights on, help keep things rolling so that we can bring Mac Voices to you. And I'd love to have you join them again at patreon.com. You get access to the Mac Voices Slack if you so choose. You get access to Mac Voices After Dark, the recordings or the part of the recordings of Mac Voices Live that happen before and after the show starts and ends. And sometimes those are the best parts. Sometimes they're really instructional. Sometimes they're just fun. But whatever the reason, they're always a blast. So you can join all our great people at patreon.com/MacVoices. Hope to see you there. And again, for all the Patreon supporters, thank you. That wraps up this February 2023 Mac Voices update. Be back with an update in March. In the meantime, I will see you on the feeds and on Mac Voices Live. As always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.